Good morning, everyone. So today I thought I would take you through some beveling. I wrapped up the turmeric and the multani mitti clay soap. I will say it was a very interesting experience to see the final cut in that bar. In the previous video, as I was preparing all of the ingredients, it was clear as day that the turmeric had a very red, orangey pigment to it. And honestly, since I'd never made a turmeric soap before, and in my research, typically the turmeric, will give a nice orangey pigment to it. It's why it's one of the most favorable, natural pigment soaps, in addition to all of the health benefits that turmeric offers, right? But, as I cut into the bar, it was really interesting to see, what the saponification did to the pigment of the turmeric. And saponification is the fancy word for when the oils and all of the ingredients that you put together in your batter sit over that 24 to 48 hour period and actually become soap. It's a very harsh process because of the lye water mixture with the soap, but at the end of the day, that's how you make soap. You cannot make soap without lye. Ultimately, I did find it very interesting just to see what the colors resulted in after the saponification process. So this is one of my little sample soaps that I made with what is the leftover batter of what I originally poured in the larger soap mold. And as you can see, there's still evidence of some of that orange in it, but at the end of the day, what you see dominating there is the color of the multani mitti clay, which is sort of a kind of creamy, kind of off-white color. And then you see some evidence of that orange tone in the soap, which again, I thought was amazing. So there's still some detail in the bar, but it's not going to be as prominent of a color distinction, of differentiation between the clay and the turmeric. But anyway, I thought that was interesting and I wanted to share that with you guys. The other thing that I wanted to talk about today is what I do for beveling. So oftentimes it's the case when you're cutting a bar, you're going to have kind of these rough ridges on the bar itself, right? And so that's just because when you're cutting it, it's just not going to be a totally clean cut. So what I like to do with these instances is just kind of clean the edges around a little bit. And so I wanted to kind of take you all through that process today. It's really simple, but it really does give the bar that nice, clean, smooth finish detail that we see. All right, so I'm going to go through just a few more just to kind of give some opportunity to capture a little more detail. So again, here are those rougher edges that we tend to see on the sides, the 4 sides or 8 sides of the bar, right? Because you've got 4 in front, 4 in back. Some soapers will bevel the corners, these smaller corners in the side. I tend not to do the bottom ones because the mold that I use just kind of comes out clean, but I will clean up these top corners for sure, just to kind of give it a little more rounded feel for it. And then at the end of the day, you just really want the bar to feel good in your hand, right? Like you want to be able to cup it and just feel smooth off the touch. So that's what I'm going for. So again, my trusty old kitchen knife, I'm taking it from one top of the corner down to the other. And as you see, I'm not really taking a whole lot of soap off the bar at all. It really is very little that's coming from the bar itself. This is what I have after doing about 3 bars previously. And I do the beveling about a day after I unmold. These bars have been sitting for a little while longer than that, but I do it about a day after. And the reason why I do it about a day after is just because the bar is firm enough, but soft still to the touch, meaning that I'm not dealing with any possibility of the bar, kind of folding in or accidentally nicking a corner and then having to reshape that. I don't want the bar to damage. I want it to be firm enough where I can get these clean cuts, but I want it to be soft enough where it's a smooth glide, right? That's what I'm going for. So I've, over the course of many, many batches that I have made, have learned that about a day to 2 days after the unmolding is the best time for me to get my beveling done. And there are some bars that I will not bevel. Like if I am like intentionally going for a rustic look, I will just leave it as is, depending again on what I want the final finish of the bar to look like. So this is probably good enough. So again, just a real clean finish. Here you can see some of the contouring from the beveling. It's just a smooth touch. The corners were a little spiky on the side, and now they're a little more toned down. So I'm just gonna set this off to the side, grab my next bar. Here again is kind of that rough, edgy look that you're seeing that I'm gonna clean up. Looking at the tops, I'm gonna smooth out these just a little bit, probably more on this side than this side, but let's get a go on. After the beveling is done, I just let them sit and continue curing, so that the water that is left after the saponification process really just evaporates off of the bar. You want a nice solid bar. You want a bar that's gonna last in your shower for a long time. And the best way to ensure that that is happening is by letting your bar cure. Now, as soon as you have let your bar sit for that 24 to 48 hour period, you have soap. You actually can use the bar as soap. There's no issues with that in terms of safety, because of course we use lye. You have to use lye to make soap, but there are no concerns with lye presence after your 24 to 48 hours kind of sitting out and curing while it's still sitting in the mold. The problem that we run into with using the bar straight out of that curing or that sitting process of 24 to 48 hours is that you still have lots of water in your bar. And so if you ever were to like weigh your bar right after the cut and wait a week after it's been curing on the rack, there's going to be a weight difference in your bar. That weight that you tend to see on the labels of bars where it says it's 4 ounces or it's 4.5 ounces or it's 3 ounces, that's the final weight of the bar after it's sat curing for that 4 to 6 week period. If I were to weigh a bar fresh from the cut, it's going to be weighing at least over 4.5 ounces, even upwards of 5 ounces, depending on how big the bar is. And so over the course of the curing period, that 4 to 6 weeks, the bar will lose water weight, and it will then ensure, because it's lost that water weight, a longer lasting bar. So that's something to think about, to keep in mind, to be curious about when you are going to craft shows or you are going to homesteads because you want those better products. Ask, how long has this bar been sitting here? What is your cure time? Do you use a water discount? You want to know those things, right? Because you want to make sure that if you're going to be investing in a bar that's going to cost you anywhere from $7 to $12, because I've seen them as high as that, you want to make sure that you're going home with a solid bar that has sat in the cure time properly, and that is going to last in your shower. All right, I'm going to knock out one more for us, and this one is actually the end of the loaf itself. So this only went through one single cut, and that's what that looks like from the actual slice. This is the back of the bar from when it was sitting in the mold. It's very smooth and glossy. There's nothing that has been done to it. Some soapers will cut just a slither off of the, let's call it the butt of the loaf. I tend to not do that. I set enough batter aside to be able to create a mini loaf, and at the end of the day, the back is nice and glossy and pretty. I leave it alone. Some soapers want to see a consistent pattern from the front and back of the soap, but I've never, I can't say I've dabbled with it a little bit, but I just felt like I was ending up with too many pieces that I, wasn't necessarily gonna, offer to sell as a mini bar, nor did I feel like they were enough in that small slice to even, offer as a mini bar. So I do have a few of those. I tend to give them away when I've dabbled with it in the past, but I've just learned to leave the butt of the bar alone. It is smooth enough. I don't have to mess with it. And at the end of the day, it actually looks pretty too. So here's that final bar. I'm going to go through the rest of them. But as you see here, again, a nice, smooth, clean finish at the bottom and at the sides. It's no longer looking rough. I smoothed out the top corners in this bar. I did smooth the back out because, again, it was the butt part of or the bookends, that sounds better, of the bar or the loaf. And so I did smooth those out as well. All right, y'all, that is beveling for you. Beveling this turmeric soap that I made. And look at that, I did 5 bars, and this is all I have left. So what do I do with what I have left? So as I mentioned in previous videos, no soap goes to waste. I like to collect these and keep them in a little container that I keep sealed. And what I do with them is I will take them through a hot process for lack of better words, to create more soap. And maybe in a future video I will do that with my shavings to show you what I'm talking about. Typically my hot process of shavings I do not sell. I will create some cute little rustic designs and maybe give those away to family and friends for birthdays and for holidays and things of that nature, because at the end of the day it's still a great bar of soap. It's just not going to have all of the intricate designs like the swirls and the drops that come through when you are pouring fluid batter in a mold. But that'll be a video for another day. You all, I hope you all enjoyed the beveling process. Drop comments or questions below, and you all have a beautiful day. Stay sudsy, y'all. Peace.